Hi guys, bradamckinnon here. Welcome back to the channel, and we're going to nerd out today in this video. We're going to talk about tools, and especially new tools v old tools, and new trowels versus old trowels. And I'm going to try and answer that question: why professional tradespeople so much better than sort of beginners or DIYers? And that's got a lot to do with the tools we use and the age of the tools. And just look at this trowel here. This trowel is 30 years old. This was my dad's trowel, and it's a carbon steel trowel. It's a bit rusty on top, but it's been around forever. I still use it. And same with my 6-inch knife. It has been my go-to knife. Again, that's 30 years old. Again, that was my dad's as well. He passed it on to me when I was doing my apprenticeship. But you can see straight away there the curve in it, how much it's worn away. And this is a key to why professional tradespeople are so much better than DIYers, is the tools they use have been around a long time, and they're worn in and they're broken in, and that's how I guess we don't get lines and stuff like that. You know, you always hear beginners saying, oh, I keep getting lines in my plaster from the edges digging in, because new knives and new tools aren't broken in, as you know, especially the cheaper ones. And so we'll go through that later on. I'm going to skim this wall here with my old tools and just show you what I mean. But I'm sort of in the process actually of using some new tools at the moment from Comay. If you've been watching my videos, you'll see I've been using the Comay tools quite a bit. They're an Italian company making some beautiful trowels and knives. You can see that one there on the right, that brand new one. But my old one there, and what I like to do is sort of put a mark on one side. You can see I've got a cross in that side there, and just use that same side all the time. So you're only breaking in one side, and then your other side's going to stay quite sharp for scraping and stuff like that. So that's a key thing if you're got a new tool, is just to mark, or your knives especially, mark one side and use that side all the time. You can see my 3-inch knife there on the right. That again, that's 30 years old. That was handed down to me by my dad, Rod McKinnon. But you can see how much that's worn away compared to the new one on the left. They were pretty much the same shape when it would have been new. But that, you know, that's my go-to knife for taping internal corners. I've probably done 1 million internals with it, and it gets so worn away that it loses its edge, and it's sort of just too rounded. Whereas the new ones there are angled with that nice sharp edge on them. So again, just changing tools at the moment. And even my hawk, that hawk there's a DeWalt hawk. It's only a couple of years old, but you can see that was flat when it was new. I mean, that's really, it's not that worn. It's only 2 years old, but you see some of them, guys and girls, have a really worn away. So I don't really like to go too much older than that. I like to sort of update them every few years and keep them flat, just for wiping off your trowel and your knife. But they do wear away quite easily and quite quickly. Just trying to show you there. Yeah, a bit of a gap there in the middle. That's just from wiping your trowel on it constantly all day. Just like that. It just wears away. And the tools get sharp, really sharp, and the 6-inch knife, it just wears away on those edges just from holding it. You're cleaning off edges and stuff. But the good new trowels now actually come broken in. This is Comay's 381 IN trowel, and it says on the trowel broken in edges. So you see in some of the videos in the factory they're sanding down those edges before they are sold. So it's pretty much like getting a trowel that's sort of 2 or 3 years old. You can use it straight out of the box, and that's the great thing about these Comay trowels. They're such a beautiful trowel just to use straight out of the box and you're away. And So I've been using that quite a bit. But I just wanted to do a bit of work using my old tools, because they've been with me for the last 30 years, and even though they don't look the nicest, I mean it's a bit rusty on top and it's very old, the old wooden handle, but still a great grip, still well balanced, and because it's worn away so much, it's a beautiful trowel to use. If I leave it too long in the toolbox without getting used, the rust will start building up on it. I've got to give it a good sand and a good clean up, but we'll just skim these walls and just show you how easy it is. Now, if you've watched a couple of my previous videos where I've used the Smooth Master trowel and the 381 IN trowel by Comay, I mean, they were beautiful trowels. They were brand new, and even still, the broken in edges, you know, they were great trowels to use. But we're just gonna use the old tools here and just show you how good they are and how good they still are, even though it's carbon steel. You know, all the new ones now are stainless. You can see here how I just finish off around these light switches just by doing this all day. You know, you're holding in, forcing one edge onto the wall, and that's why it gets worn out on those edges and so much. Just years and years of doing that sort of same thing. And again, this trowel, you got to be careful because they're actually so sharp on the edges, you can cut yourself quite easily. So it does happen. It does happen to me every now and then. I'll just nick my finger or something if I'm hopping down, or my leg, just sort of like what I did then. If you're not careful, you can just nick yourself and it'll draw blood pretty easily. So you just got to be careful with that sort of thing. So yes, 30 years coming up now, this trowel. I started working for my dad in around 1996. So yeah, 30 years next year. He probably had it for a number of years himself, so probably more than 30 years old. It'll be interesting to know exactly how old it is, but I don't even know what brand it is. There's no branding on it. Now you just see here, when I skim these walls, I always do all these difficult corners first. So when I skim, I'm just sort of finishing off to the edge there. I don't have to finish right into the corner. Again, I've been all around the light switches and stuff. And I've re-taped all the joints and flushed them out. So all I'm doing now is just skimming the walls, so I don't have to go right and around the light switches while I'm skimming. So it just makes life a lot easier. But again, you don't often see the old wooden handles anymore. It's all rubber grips, or even plastic now, some of them. But with the wooden grips, they wear into your hand grip, you know. They get nice and smooth, and so it's a beautiful trowel. It's a beautiful trowel to use. It's a 15-inch trowel, carbon steel, like I say, so it doesn't stay clean if you leave it too long, or it gets a bit of water on it, it'll start to rust. But yeah, I use it a lot, and just in the process of switching to the Comay trowels, because, you know, like I say, they're already broken in and they're just a beautiful trowel to use. So, but you know, this is why sort of DIYers, I think, sort of get a bit stuck if they're buying the sort of cheaper trowels that aren't broken in. You know, you get that digging in, the edges digging in, and it's hard to it's hard just to do a small job with just some new tools. You know, we make it look easy because obviously we're skilled professionals, but you know, our tools are broken in. You know, and we know how they work, and we buy the best ones. So that's, you know, when you look at professional tradespeople and you think, how are they so good? It's because our tools are so good. You know, compared to all this, there's a lot of junk out there, a lot of cheap stuff. You know, people go and buy a cheap tool and yeah, that'll do, and it makes life difficult. But just, you can see here using the new Kome one, see it's not broken in, these knives, and you can see they're digging in, so you sort of got to really hold it on the edge there to avoid that digging in. But you know, that's what I'm doing at the moment, breaking them in, and they'll be my new go-to tools, go-to knives. So and again, they're mirror polished stainless steel. You can see how shiny they are. They stay nice and clean. But you can see my 6-inch, 30-year-old 6-inch knife, how curved it is. You know, it's not flat anymore, and I can come up a wall like that without digging in on either side because of the curve. It's curved up on each side. That's how broken it is, and worn out it is. Not worn out, but worn in. You know, so. And I know how it works, and yeah. So that's the old tools versus the new tools. You know, that's why professional tradespeople are so good. Whether you're a plasterer or a painter or any trade really, tools they use or we use have been around for a while, and we know them. We've broken them in. Yeah, but the new ones out there, the good ones, you know, the Komes, and they're all coming out now with broken in edges, so you can use them straight out of the box, and they're beautiful trowels and knives. So yeah, hope you enjoyed this one, guys. A bit of a nerdy video talking about this kind of stuff. If you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments. I can make more of it, more of these kind of videos. But yeah, thanks for watching, and hope to see you on the next one.